Hello everyone, it's Marcy again. I have a new junk journal that I wanted to share with you guys. This is a hardcover journal made from an old book cover. I've decorated the front and added in some new pages, and I just wanted to show you the edge of the pages there. It has this lace and eyelash trim and just some vintage crochet pieces just hanging over the edges. Not a lot on the bottom in case you want to set it on a shelf. And these charms, there are charms in different places throughout the book, which I'll show you. The name of this book, as you can tell by the cover, or the title I mean, is the Evergreen. I'm just going to call it Evergreen because that's the mindset that I had going into this. It is about all things that stay green throughout the winter. So it is a winter journal, but it kind of showcases the green, like pines and spruces and junipers and holly and other things like that. Mistletoe, I believe, stays green throughout winter. Anyways, we'll get back to the book. Right now I just have this twine just tied around it, just to kind of hold it closed. It is not fully stuffed right now, so it does have a little bit of room, and of course some of the things that are in there can be taken out. Things in the pockets and things that are just clipped to the pages can be taken out and used however you want to. On the front cover is a glassine bag, which I decorated with this image here, a vintage image with some greens and a little place for you to write a title or year or what have you. This is just a random number just stuck behind there. I just kind of like random numbers. Some cheesecloth peeking out from behind there. Some like tea bag paper, ledger paper, and some brown paper on there. As you can see, when I tip it like that, there's a lot of gold on here. There are two different kinds of gold. I used some gold ink throughout the book and just added some details on some of the images. And I also took a stencil and I stenciled on these tree branches, because in winter the tree branches are bare except for the evergreens. So I just kind of wanted to portray that winter in there. And I used antique gold gilding wax to make those gold, and I also did around the edges. And I also did some of the gold ink on the branches as well, because there are two different kinds of gold. There's like a bright yellow gold, and then there's the more antique coppery type gold, if that makes sense. I did not cover the spine. I like when I use an old vintage book that I can tell what it used to be. It kind of adds to the history of the book, and it adds interest, in my opinion. This was a Webster's Illustrated Dictionary, and it has a little emblem of a globe on there. On the back, I did some more of those tree branches with the same technique, stenciled on and then gilded, and some gold ink added. And I also gilded around it in some places just to kind of make it look more aged. Inside the glassine bag is just a simple tag with some pine branches on there, and it has also got gold ink on it, and it's a great place to journal. As we flip open the book, you'll notice there is fabric all along the edge. What I've done is just glued fabric inside the cover and then underneath the end pages, just to add that little bit more of aging type look to it. The spine, no, go play. The spine has been reinforced with 3 different layers of fabric, so it is quite sturdy. As you can tell, the book is aged and worn, but it is quite sturdy because I've reinforced it. I did want to mention there are 4 signatures, and they are stitched in with waxed thread, which I also inked and gilded. Okay, now I can get into the pages of the book. It is a rather filled book, like I've already said. We have a pocket here with a vintage image, and behind it I just stitched some threads, just some threads that I had and I just liked that messy look. and it's stitched around, and then it's stitched on as well. So there are elements of winter as well as there are elements of Christmas, but all of the Christmas elements can be removed, so it can be a strictly winter journal if you wanted it to be. It wouldn't have to be Christmas. Here's a tag I made doing some collage, and I put one of my printable images on there. It's an index card for journaling. It's a vintage image, and it has also got the gold ink on it. I just did a stamp on the back. So all of the pages are coffee dyed, and some of them have been sprayed with inks and dyes. So this one is one of the dyed ones, and I just tore the edges so that it looked rougher. A little collage here with just some papers, a tiny little tag cut out, another little piece of ephemera stitched on there to make, or it's not stitched, glued, just to make a little tuck for this tag, which has a tree stamped on it and place to journal in the back. An image, this is from Keepsake, image of a deer. Some papers layered on here. This is a book page from a book about shorthand. I just love the look of shorthand. I left the chapter showing just because I thought that may spark some interest. A eco-dyed piece of fabric here with these beautiful lines, and you can imagine what you want to with those. I did spray some ink on the back. Writing paper. There's lots of room in this book still to write, as well as lots of embellishment. This is some tea bag paper where I've punched out some snowflakes, and then I added this wood snowflake which I've gessoed and inked. And this little book was from a title of a book, this little word is a title from a book page, and it just says arrival, and it makes me think of the arrival of winter and the arrival of maybe the first snow or what have you. There's little bits of text stamping as well as script stamping on some of the pages to add interest. Here's one of the charms with a bead and a little metal disc, and it is on a paper clip. Clipped to here is a vintage image. This is an image of a postcard. It's just on coffee dyed paper of some deer in the woods, and a Christmas card here with birds in a tree, and I added some of that gold ink to the little baskets that are in the tree. Some stamping, a stitched collage here that makes a little tuck spot with a stamped image and some eyelash trim. Another one of my printables on some coffee dyed paper to journal. Excuse me. The other side of that book page, I did a collage here with some die cut and papers and fabrics, and put some gilding wax on that. Another image here from Keepsake of a fox. Another one of those dyed pages, and you can faintly, I'm hoping the camera picks it up, there's a faint tree branch right here. I took some cedar branches and laid them on the paper before I sprayed them, so it kind of gives an impression there. And here's some of that crocheted lace and a snowflake charm just pinned on there. A vintage image of a bird, and this makes a tuck spot, and this is a collaged postcard. I stamped it to make it look like a postcard, and it's just collaged with some papers and stamped images. A holly and mistletoe little tuck spot here, vintage image, and another vintage image. This one is printed on a book page, like at the beginning of the book you have the blank pages, and it has some of that gold ink on it as well. Some leaf trim here which has gold gilding wax on it. Another one of those tree branch pages. A bit of fabric here with some crochet and tea bag and some more snowflakes, and they are also gilded as well. A collage here with this was a large index card that I cut down, did some stamping and some die cut. I left the top on there because I liked that look. A little bit of stamping. Vintage image of a rabbit layered up with some papers and fabric. Another collage here with a stamped image and some music paper. just some paper and some more of that crocheted trim. You can kind of see the tree branches on this one as well, on both sides. An envelope clipped on with this paper clip that has a lock and key charm as well as some beads. And a decorated envelope, and I've taken the gold and I've kind of splattered it on as well as painted it around the little faux postage stamp there. Same thing on this side. And inside the envelope is a coffee dyed paper for some journaling, and I have decorated that, and it says memories. It has some postage stamp and some holly and berries down at the bottom. Oh yes, clipped in here was, this is the front of a journaling card. I love the gold and green on that. And like I said, all of the things that are Christmas specific, related, can be taken out of the book and used how you want to. Some of that script stamping, some more crocheted trim stitched on there. This is a flip with some ruffled fabric and some leaves, leaf trim, a stamp, and a great place for journaling. The back page has this tree pattern on it, and it was a gift bag from last Christmas. A vintage image of a Christmas card. More of that stamping. This is a little collage here with some papers, a vintage mother of pearl button, and some lace that I cut apart and put on there, on some of that shorthand book page, and I did some snowflakes on that side. There's some sari silk and lace stitched on here, and pinned on is a little bead charm. There's a book page which I inked and gessoed and then stenciled on some of these tree limbs. There's a little bit of gesso on this side as well, but just a little bit of stamping up there. Another just stitched on collage there with some papers and fabrics. Clipped on here is this is a vintage card. It was a blank card, and I just did a little bit of stamping on it. Clip that in there. This is a tag which has just the rough edges. I did some layering on there for journaling. The other side of that book page. A collage here with this negative of the stencil printed on there, and I painted the tree limbs in gold. Layered up with some paper, some more of that shorthand paper. A collage here with some lace, a wooden snowflake, and a label, which, and I added some coffee dyed paper for some space to journal. This is a fabric pocket. Hopefully you can see there is a tree branch right here of some of that evergreen tree. It was a cedar tree of some sort, I do believe. This is the front of a greeting card, or it is a greeting card that I trimmed down and I inked. It says, "Enjoy the magic of the holiday season." It says season greetings, and it has a lot of gold, and it has trees. And I thought, yes, there's another little journaling spot here. This one didn't quite turn out the way I wanted, but I went ahead and included it in the book. It has a tree and a stamped image, which I did some, painted some of that gold ink on. Oh, and it opens. The other side of that gift bag, a collage here with some lace and fabrics, and it also opens one way or the other for some journaling space, and you can see the stitching on this side from the lace, and it makes a tuck spot as well. A stamped image which I did some painting on with the ink and watercolor. It's a journaling spot. Some more of that script stamping, a vintage image of a pine cone, and I sprayed some ink on that page. There's another one of those with the tree branch. Clipped on here is just a simple little tag that says "Joy to the World." Some stamping. Some more vintage trim with a gold, what are these called? It's like a metal piece, like filigree. And some fabric, and pinned on here is a little leaf charm. Some more stamping. A large tuck spot here with some of that tree stencil on it. And I made this whole tag. I was having fun. Inside the illustrated dictionary, I found these pages. They were opposite of each other, and one had partridge and the other was pear, so I did a little bit of leaf branch there. It's a partridge and a pear tree. Just a little, had a little fun with my images there. Trying to see the tree branch there on that. Another Christmas image there printed out, and a little pine cone and bead charm on that clip. Some more pine trees. Oh, still in frame, yep. A little more stamping. And the last page has this large fabric pocket, which is stitched onto cardstock, so it's reinforced. And this is an excerpt from a book page. It talks about snowfall, late November, chickadees, a red squirrel eating pine seeds, and I just thought that really kind of, you know, it kind of fit the whole, like, the emotion of the whole book is kind of just in that tiny little excerpt from a book page, and it's stitched onto pattern paper, and I did a little collage tag here, which has some more of that gilding wax, and place to journal. And there is Evergreen, and she will be listed in my shop later, well, by the time this video is up. So all of the details as far as size, I will just tell you real quick. Size is 5.5 by about 8 1/4, and with the trim it's probably about 8.5 if you include all of the stuff. But yeah, so the link will be in the description for more information about her, and if you're interested in purchasing. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.